Hey there, second YouTube vlog for me on this journey of self-discovery, I guess is what I could call it, of processing my thoughts and feelings and emotions. And before I start, I wanted to say thank you for all of the wonderful messages and response that I received to the first sort of brain dump. It wasn't even anything at all, but the first video that I shared was completely unexpected, and to end up with followers to my YouTube channel after sharing, just a message of saying I wanted to do this was very unexpected and a very pleasant surprise. So thank you to everyone for that. I have been thinking the last few days, and actually for quite a while now, since having left the behavioral health hospital and with going through the process there and learning more about sort of human interaction and the psychology behind, what makes us tick. It's funny that I work in communications and yet somehow missed so much of what drives communications, interpersonal communications between people with their interpersonal relationships. And I've described it in this way to several people. Everything that we say, every conversation that we have, every question that we ask is said and is conveyed logically. When you're having a conversation with someone, you are listening to what they have to say. You're listening to their words. Maybe online you're reading the words. You're listening to what it is they have to convey. And although the words appear logically, because you process them logically, everything that is said is conveyed from a place of emotion. Every question that is asked because of uncertainty, wanting to know more, not feeling as though you are a part of something and you want to belong. I include myself, I guess, in the comment of saying so much of what happens in our lives, we listen to people, but we don't really hear what they have to say. We read something online, and the minute you read it, there's a quick response. There is a judgment thrown out. There's an anecdotal, I've had this experience. Or that's wrong. Or your opinion is not correct. You misinterpreted. When we do this, we inherently invalidate the individual, because we are saying what you have to say is not enough. Your thoughts are not valid. Your opinions, they're not correct. They don't matter. They are not mine, therefore they are wrong. Emotional validation doesn't mean that you agree with someone, that you say that what they have or what they're feeling or what their view is correct. It's just saying that I acknowledge you, I affirm you for what you are going through, what your thought is, what your opinion is, what you have to say, the question that you are asking, you are valid in asking. We live in a world where we are quicker to invalidate than we are to validate. And it's very frustrating to see it when it happens, to experience it when it happens to you. And speaking from my experience as someone who outwardly portrays lots of confidence and does so as a way to mask an inherent lack of self-confidence, these things are very detrimental to your emotional health and your psychological health. For me, I have in the past, and I struggle today with being invalidated. When I express my thoughts and therefore my emotions, and I'm not heard, it makes me feel as though I'm not worth being listened to. It makes me feel as though what I have to say doesn't matter. And therefore, my feelings don't matter. And I have struggled my whole life with this because I have always felt that my feelings didn't matter. So it's caused me to avoid conflict, part of my personality disorder, but to avoid conflict of any kind, whether that be disagreements, potential judgment or shame, doing something wrong. I would use even constructive criticism as a means to beat myself up. Drill a hole in my soul. It's the best way to describe it. Because I didn't validate myself enough to stand in someone else's invalidation of me. So I'm working on that. And I thought that based on conversations that I've had with many people in the last few days and over the last few months, that this idea of emotional validation and how important it is in relationships of any kind is something that we need to pay more attention to, and something that we should be putting more emphasis on, because we're not just logical human beings, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. We are emotional.
Invalidation is not always easily identifiable, and often the person who invalidates is not even aware that they are doing so. To better explain, I thought I would provide some examples of ways that invalidation may be expressed and the impact the exchange may have on the recipient. You can see these are common phrases. Most people do not use these statements or ask these questions with the intention to purposefully shame someone for their thoughts and feelings, but instead aim to and believe they are genuinely helping an individual. They believe they can change the way a person feels by helping them to brush aside or minimize their present emotions. They believe they can help the person to feel different. There are numerous ways why invalidation occurs. Unfortunately, there are individuals who are aware they invalidate others and do so as a means of manipulation and to establish control over another individual. For others, invalidation is not intentional. They simply lack the ability to empathize or express validation effectively. Individuals who unintentionally invalidate may be uncomfortable in dealing with feelings, someone else's, or perhaps even their own. Research has shown that being in an environment or having relationships that are invalidating has a negative impact on one's emotional self-efficacy and is associated with suicidal and self-harm behaviors. These are reasons why I feel it is so important that we are mindful of what validation is and its importance in our life.
As a brief follow-up to this last video, if there is anyone out there who is looking for resources or support with their interpersonal relationships that they have with others, I do not intend to use this forum as a place to discuss any of mine. Um, the relationships that I have with people in my life now and in the past are between me and those individuals. So let that just be said. But I am more than happy to help anyone in finding resources or in considering other ways of thinking or in other ways of viewing yourself when it comes to relationships that you have. So if that is the case, please feel free to message me. Um, and I'd be happy to helping you along your way because I think that it's important for us to have healthy and positive relationships, both with ourselves and with the people we choose to have in our lives.